And wow, what did you think of that? I'm guessing that the answer depends on if this is the first time you saw The Birds, or if you've seen it before. Or if you've seen it before and don't remember it, then you might be thinking, what was that? And what kind of ending was that? That's certainly what I was thinking the first time I saw it. And it's very interesting, certainly for a big Hollywood movie, to not have a happy ending, or to not even bother really wrapping things up. That's quite unique. There's really no answer as to why the Birds were doing this, and that is very, very interesting. If you've seen this before, as we have, you can really just enjoy this movie for all of the Hitchcockiness of it, and we'll talk more about what we liked about this movie, in particular the visuals and certainly the effects. But if you're looking for answers, it's a frustrating ending. And just so you know, there are no answers in the book either. The book is a little different, but it doesn't matter. Hitchcock wanted it this way. He wanted to leave it quite ambiguous. And that, like I said, that is completely unique for a Hitchcock picture. They all get wrapped up at the end. I'm thinking North by Northwest. That thing is wrapped up in like 30 seconds, where they go from, hanging from the edge of Mount Rushmore to in a train, married, and about to get it on. And that happens literally in 30 seconds. So, perhaps this film is about the end of the world, and about the Cold War and the apocalypse. And Hitchcock actually wanted to be able to show the Golden Gate Bridge completely covered in birds. Like, that's it. It's the end of the world for us, not the birds. They're going to be just fine. But and there's actually a little 4-minute piece I'm going to link up. It's from YouTube, where the people on the project talk about an alternate ending, and it's not really an alternate ending. It's just you know that it isn't going to end well for these people getting in the car that drive off. And I'll link that up. You can watch it. So it doesn't matter. This was a hugely popular movie with audiences. This made a lot of money. It scared the bejesus out of everyone. And just remember, this is before The Exorcist. Well, it's after Psycho. That's true, but it's before The Exorcist. It's before Halloween. It's before Friday the 13th and all that good stuff. This movie made a ton of money. I will say that the critics hated it. They really just panned it. It was not a critical success. And I'm pretty much convinced at this point that a certain Mr. Hitchcock could care less. I didn't mention last week that Psycho was initially panned by some critics, and within 6 months or a year, these same critics were lauding it as a classic and as a masterpiece. So, to heck with them. He's more interested in pleasing the audiences, and please them he did. In fact, here's a little interesting tidbit. When this movie was played on television for the first time in 1968, it became the highest watched TV show to date, and it stayed that way for 4 years. That's remarkable. And what knocked it off was Love Story in 1972, and that makes sense to a lot of people. So, I mentioned that this movie actually cost a lot to make, and one of the reasons was it was very technically demanding. I mean, obviously all those birds weren't in the shot with all those people, and the DVD extras talks at great length about the rear projection in the background, and how when they did it the usual way it looked fake, and they fixed it. That was probably really fun for Alfred Hitchcock. I think that he probably had a lot of fun on this, and the star of the movie is the title, The Birds, not necessarily the people involved. But pretty effective. It's all these years later, and we have seen The Exorcist, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and we found ourselves, we were tensing up during some of the scenes. And part of that had to do with the great visuals. So, and the murder weapon in this Hitchcock movie was the birds. The gas station blew up and that killed some people and whatever. But no bad guy here, no charming villain, just the birds. But I did want to say something that Diane pointed out when we were watching. We've talked again and again about the everyday man getting caught in a completely crazy situation, or the charming villain, someone you'd never suspect. Well, how about just a bunch of birds, and isn't it neat, after you've seen this, if you've never seen it before, you're going to see some birds tomorrow and the next day, and you're going to look at those birds and you're going to look at them a little differently, but that feeling's going to go away. So clearly, just another shocker, just another kind of horror movie. And isn't it ironic, we've all watched 43 Hitchcock movies together in order, and the two movies, Psycho and The Birds, are his two best-known films, and they're so unlike every other Hitchcock movie ever made. I mean, we tell people all the time, yeah, we're doing this video blog and we're watching all of Hitchcock movies in a row, and very often, ooh, I don't like scary movies. And there's a really good reason for that. You know, and how many scary movies has he made so far? 2. The Birds and Psycho. So it's fun for us to say, no, really, he makes suspense thrillers and they're spy chases. And anyways, now did you notice green was everywhere? There's probably a reason for that. Maybe a little bit about how the green, you know, green with envy, and everybody was envying everybody else in this movie, and it's just a really fun. There's green, you know, green cars. Tippi Hedren was wearing green for the whole movie. Green, green chairs, green drapes. We were imagining. The restaurant was great. We were imagining having a drinking game, even if you were sitting there sipping wine, and if you had to sip wine, seriously, every time you see something new that's green, you won't be able to finish you'll certainly finish your bottle of wine, but that was very interesting, and we've certainly seen that with Hitchcock before. Vertigo, the greens and the reds, and probably in something else I can't think of right now, but and there's something very unique and very intriguing about watching Tippi Hedren. She's very watchable. She's still with us today here in 2011. Hi Tippi, in case you're watching. We love you in this movie. And you know, I know this was her first movie, and I know it was a difficult role, but it's just neat, and it's a neat story that he found her, that Hitchcock found her, and she's such a nice lady. She narrates a lot. Well, she's been interviewed a lot on the DVD extras too. So I do. You know, hope you can get a chance to watch those on the DVD. She's wonderful. Jessica Tandy, also wonderful. Boy, early on, she just steals every scene she's in. She just with this, you know, this crazy possessive mother, and we've seen those in 1 or 2 movies before. Notorious, Psycho, and those look. But later in the film, she becomes much more sympathetic and just a great character. She was awesome. And you know, for a film with no music, excuse me, it really works to me. I mean, there's just again something eerie about the movie that there's, and I suppose if you watched it and thought it dragged a little bit, maybe that's why. But you know, Bernard Herrmann, if you're out there listening, you know, I think again he really knew what he was doing. I don't know to what extent Bernard Herrmann was involved in this, but the sounds, if you saw this with some good speakers, the sounds in this, imagine seeing this in a big theater today. Well, I don't know how it would compare to some of the movies that blow your eardrums, but anyways, just fantastic. The bird sounds were amazing. It almost sounded like a you were saying, it sounds like a cat that's in distress, and very good. Speaking of distress, brandy. Kathy, get the brandy. So very awesome. This is a hugely Hitchcockian movie, and you know, I know it's no Vertigo, I know it's no North by Northwest. People love Strangers on a Train, people love Rebecca. This is just a silly little movie about birds, but I really liked it. We both really liked it this time, and very Hitchcockian. The little girl who was playing Kathy, who you know had to go get the brandy, that was actually Veronica Cartwright, and she was good. She was actually very good in this. Well, she's a famous actress. She was in Alien, among other things, so you can certainly look into her. So very good. Great cameo. Nice to see Mr. Hitchcock and his 2 little doggies, Jeffrey and Shamley. Wait, Stanley. Jeffrey and Stanley. So that's fun. I think that's the copyrights is Jeffrey Stanley Productions on this movie and next week's movie. So that's really cute. So an enjoyable movie. Would love to hear what you thought about it. Clearly, he just doesn't care what the critics. He cares what you think, but he doesn't care what the critics think. So very good. Okay, real quick. 1963. This made a lot of movie. This movie made a lot of money. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture, that's for sure. What did win Best Picture in 1963 was a movie called Tom Jones, and I saw it a long time ago. She's never seen it, and it's weird. It's almost like people in the United States were having a thing with all things British at that point, and certainly it's not far down the road that the United States and Canada get a good dose of the British invasion from music from the Beatles and the Stones, etc. So and the Monkees. So, anyways, the Birds, its gross from that year was $18 million, and Tom Jones was a lot less, 10 or 11 million. So the Birds made a lot of money. So good. So we're done with 1963. We're done with the Birds. So next week we've got Sean Connery and Tippi Hedren again in the movie that they wanted to make before this one with Grace Kelly, and couldn't because Grace couldn't do it. But we're looking forward to it. So Marnie, next week. So good. So look forward to the comments, and from our couch to yours, we'll see you next week.